Ali Abdelaziz, mad terrorist snitch.
To New York City on September 11, 2001. He was caught with 5 passports in his possession. He turned informant and turned on the people that he was working with.
Really? Why is he not allowed to leave the
I think he might have had a checkered past, so to speak, to put it lightly. You can Google's your friend. There's a few things online about some of the activity that he's been involved with.
You're acting like Dana White. You're acting like a bully. You are. And you're getting too emotional, and you're trying to intimidate people, and you're trying to intimidate the media.
Ali Abdelaziz, not only the biggest manager of fighters in the MMA industry, but also one of the most controversial figures in the entire sport.
He's gonna get what's coming to him, man. He's a little terrorist rat. He's already got enough people. He's an FBI informant.
You should keep distance from the informant at all times.
Ever since Conor McGregor famously called out Ali at a press conference before his fight with Khabib.
His manager is a snitch, terrorist rat.
People have speculated about just how dark the past of Mr. Abdelaziz is, but just how much of it is true. Today, we seek to uncover both the truths and falsehoods, separate fact from fiction, and discover just who is Ali Abdelaziz. The early start of Ali is difficult to track. He has used a variety of different names and spellings. For example, his student record from Egypt identifies him as Ala Ragb Farig Abdelaziz Ahmed. Other documents have versions of Ala Eldin Ragb Fekri Abdelaziz, and he fought in MMA, using the name Ali Ibrahim. Ali claims to have come to America initially as an Olympian from Egypt in 1996, but there is no actual record of him on any Olympic team. There are, however, records of Ali logging in and out under different names in the U.S. Olympic Training Center. Ali is said to have first arrived in the U.S. in 1996, purportedly as an Egyptian Olympian. It was around this time that he was training sporadically at the OTC that law enforcement first began to suspect his involvement with the Muslims of America. The Muslims of America is a controversial Islamic group operating in the U.S. Their headquarters are located in a small settlement in Delaware called Islamburg, with a residence of around 200 people, with a school and grocery store. Reuters has described the village as a tranquil Muslim hamlet in the Catskills, while a declassified 2007 FBI memo claims Muslims of the Americas is linked with Jamaat ul-Fuqra, a North American international radical fundamentalist group. It should be noted that there is a lot of misinformation about Islamburg online. Media outlets like InfoWars have spread dangerous conspiracies about the enclave. Police have even arrested and jailed people for plotting to attack Islamburg in 2015 and 2019. Abdelaziz told Moyer that he first met MOA at a mosque, but had no clue of what their Jamaat ul-Fuqra was, and only became a member of the group after he became an informant. So, how did Ali find himself in trouble with the law? In 2001, Ali Abdelaziz used a fraudulent credit card to purchase $2,000 of Home Depot gift certificates, and upon further investigation, the police began to discover more about who Ali was. It turned out both he and his Egyptian cousin were living in the country illegally, making a living together as bouncers. They both had been partaking in various acts of fraud, such as stealing real birth certificates and forging new ones. He also made false documents to apply for passports, and in 2002, he was finally imprisoned for document forgery. Now sitting in a jail cell, Ali was approached by the New York Police Department's Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence, David Cohen, who offered him the chance to turn informant and work with the police and go undercover for them in MOA. According to the book Enemies Within, written by American journalists Adam Goldman and Matt Apuzzo, the FBI also got in on the action, and Abdelaziz became known as Informant 184, or Tap Out, because he often lost his MMA fights by submission. Now the FBI, CIA, and law enforcement generally is known for asking their subjects to do strange things from time to time. But Ali's story is right up there. Abdelaziz disclosed to Twilight in America author Martin Moyer that he was made to marry an underage girl called Fatima because of pressure from the NYPD. He claimed the NYPD threatened to end his contract if he didn't gain access to some of the higher-ups at the Muslims of America, and thought Fatima was a good target because she seemed depressed. Ali said, "The girl didn't know how to write or read, so I started helping her." He spent almost $35,000 renovating their trailer, About a year later, she gave birth to their son. He divorced her and left her and the child behind.
How's Noah? How's Noah, huh?
As a reward for his cooperation, Ali was given a green card and allowed to fly in and out of the United States, and he flew all over Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Venezuela, and Trinidad, helping the MOA set up new branches. All was going swimmingly until the FBI began to suspect that Ali might have become a double agent in Egypt. They came to this conclusion after discovering significant amounts of the intel he provided turned out to be bogus, and he had a number of suspicious meetings whilst in the country. They forced him to take back-to-back polygraph tests, of which he failed both, and eventually was dropped by both the NYPD and FBI as an informant. Following this fallout, the American government unsuccessfully attempted to deport Ali, and in 2011, he was granted asylum after he claimed he would be in significant danger of assassination if he was sent back to Egypt. It would be malpractice, of course, if we didn't touch on what brought Ali the most negative attention from the McGregor rant: his alleged participation in the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
He was pulled off of a flight going from Cairo, Egypt to New York City on September 11, 2001. He was caught with 5 passports in his possession. He turned informant and turned on the people that he was working with.
While it is true that Ali was caught with a false passport on the day September 11th happened under the name Robert Britton, this could largely be summed up as a coincidence. There was never any evidence that Abdelaziz associated with the 9/11 hijackers or Al-Qaeda, and furthermore, the US government has never accused Ali or MOA of involvement in the 9/11 attacks. Does this mean that Ali was out and about just being a good boy that day with his fake passport? Of course not. But to make the connection that means he had a part to play in the attacks on the Twin Towers is a stretch we won't be willing to entertain here today. So, what about Ali as a manager? After becoming one of the highest paid informants under Detective Cohen, Ali was earning hundreds of thousands of dollars, which he then invested into both the MOA and his own businesses, one of which was his mixed martial arts management company, Dominance MMA. It must be said that Abdelaziz seems very capable of getting his fighters into the UFC and securing them decent opportunities once they are there. However, many have pointed to the growing influence Ali has over the industry as extremely concerning, with him exerting control over both fighters and media members alike. When interviewing Abe Kawa, MMA media member James Lynch asked Kawa about the altercation between him and Abdelaziz, which resulted in Ali punching Abe.
Oh, he had a couple clients. So he had Kelvin Gastelum and Vicente Luque. I do the interview with Abe. It's mainly talking about Masvidal and this opportunity of fighting for the BMF title. And in that interview, I did bring up the fact that, there was this assault that had taken place.
As a result of this interview, James was thereafter banned from interviewing any of the fighters managed by Ali.
I go to reach out to their PR and I was told, quote, I was told not to do interviews with you anymore. That's what their PR person at the time said. So I'm like, okay, what's up with this? So I never really got a reason.
But it's not just Spence being prevented from talking with his high-profile athletes.
Just keep that in mind. Not to mention the fact that I'm not the only guy who's banned as well. Ariel Helwani, the most prominent journalist in the sport, is also banned from interviewing clients of Ali Abdelaziz.
Ariel Helwani has never been one to shy away from calling out bad actors in the sport. And on the odd occasion, this would affect Ali or one of his fighters. Ali would lash out at Ariel sometimes, even calling for his job at ESPN. Somehow, Ariel was able to convince Ali it would be a good idea for the two to talk about the beef on his podcast. Abdelaziz accepted.
Okay, but is it being loyal to block? Is it being loyal to send messages?
But the whole thing is
being loyal? To me, it feels like this is all getting to your head, if you want me to be honest.
But shutting down media and journalists isn't the only way Ali flexes his control over MMA discourse. He also has his allies. John Morgan is one among them. John's wife also just so happens to work for Abdelaziz's management company, and he is famously non-critical of Ali and his fighters.
Do you think John Morgan's going to say anything negative about Dominance MMA in his reporting? You think that John Morgan's going to ask any hard questions for Dominance MMA fighters? No, absolutely not. You think he's going to ask any questions of Ali Abdelaziz that he doesn't want to answer? Absolutely not.
And the list goes on. Brett Okamoto is also suspected of being someone with some kind of arrangement with Ali, that he will always toe the Dominance MMA line.
But Brett Okamoto is one of those guys who basically toes the line and does. They're glorified publicists for Dominance MMA.
Perhaps none of this is enough to convince you that Ali tries to control narratives by nefarious means. But what if we had actual leaked audio of Abdelaziz admitting to exactly that?
But on top of bullying media members, he quote-unquote owns certain media members.
MMA manager Fernan Lopez once managed a fighter called Slim Trabelsi, whom he had under contract as a fighter in his stable. Ali had other plans, and promised to get Slim into the UFC if he left Lopez and signed with him. When Fernan brought this to the attention of the UFC and media that Slim still had a contract with him, he also brought forward the following recording in which Ali is letting Fernan know there was no point trying to seek retribution in the public sphere, as Ali claimed to own the media.
Brother, friends don't have shit, brother. I own the media. So, okay, let's be real.
But when he's not being suspected of being a double agent or corrupting the journalistic integrity of a whole sport, Ali can also be found potentially scamming fighters while he was the executive vice president and matchmaker for the World Series of Fighting.
Because I had evidence that he was not only managing people, but he was using his role as a manager to attract people by getting other managers to sign over the rights of their fighters, and he would give them 5%, he would take 15%. He was charging the fighters 20%. But the thing is, he was doing that to get them in the World Series of Fighting $1 million tournament that they were putting on then at the
Which
time.
is highly illegal.
Yes.
Once the In Nevada Athletic Commission began snooping around in 2015 over administrative and some operational concerns, Ali promptly left the position, and the promotion was eventually discontinued and sold to the PFL. And that's the story of Ali Abdelaziz, a controversial figure in the world of MMA. His journey from informant to manager has been marked by both success and scandal. While there is no doubt that Ali has played a significant role in the growth of the sport, his methods and influence have raised concerns among some observers. As MMA continues to evolve, it remains to be seen how Ali's legacy will ultimately be judged.